Alright, so once again, good afternoon everyone. So for today we will be discussing about the measurements in pharmacy, so specifically module 1. And to start off class, we'll discuss first about the international system of units. So basically class will be talking about the SI units, okay, measures of length, volume, and weight. Okay, ano ba yung mga units na ginagamit natin kadalasan dito? At the same time, class, relation of the SI to other systems and measurement. Then after this class, we will be discussing about Aliquot method. Okay, how are we supposed to compute using Aliquot method, and then percent error. Okay, so for the class, our objectives are as follows. So first, for this topic, okay, our objective will be as follows. So to demonstrate understanding of the international system of units, so SI units, be able to convert measures within the SI. Okay, so kumbaga, ipa-practice natin yung conversion skills nyo dito. So again, dito papasok ang importansya ng dimensional analysis, and at the same time, class, ratio and proportion. Okay, state equivalent measures between the SI and other systems of measures used in pharmacy practice. Be able to convert measures between the SI and other systems of measures used in pharmacy. So that includes, class, of course, the English method, avoirdupois, okay, and other measurements or other measures used in pharmacy. And then lastly, class, to apply the SI correctly in calculations. With that out of the way, let's proceed. So SI class is basically known as the metric system before. So internationally recognized decimal system of weights and measures. Now class, kaya importante sa atin na alam natin kung paano i-express ang ating mga units or ating mga values in decimal, because most of the time, class, the metric system, which we often use in pharmacy, is expressed in decimals. Okay? Kaya hindi tayo gumagamit dito ng fraction as much as possible. So you need to be aware of how you convert a fraction to a decimal. So it's simply dividing the numerator to its denominator, or converting a percentage to decimal. Again, just simply divide it by 100. Okay? Or expressing a ratio into decimal. Ang ratio naman, class, usually kung yan ay, say, for example, 1:2. Alright? Automatic, class, this is your numerator. And this is your denominator. Okay? So ang gagawin lang natin dyan, class, would be, if I express this into fractions, that will be 1/2. Ang 1:2 would simply be expressed as 1/2. And then, kung gagawin ko itong decimal, this is 0.5. Because that's simply dividing 1 divided by 2. Okay? So, 1 divided by 2 lang siya. So, maliwanag ba tayo doon? So, napaka-simple lang, class, i-convert yung ating mga values into decimal. Provided kasi you know how to properly do this. Kaya nga kasi sa mga pinaka-basic skills na kailangan natin, so, before we even started with our first module, is that we know how to convert our values into their decimal forms. Okay, so I hope that's okay na sa inyong lahat. Kasi again, class, most of us, again, most of the values that we use here in the metric system or in pharmacy in general, class, will always be expressed in decimals. Okay, pwedeng scientific notation, okay, pero ko-convert pa rin natin into decimals in the long run. Okay, so the base units, class, often used for the SI system would be meters and kilograms. Okay, meters for the unit of length, kilograms would be for the unit of weight. Now, class, another one would be liters. Yun naman yung unit na ginagamit natin for volume. Okay? Now, just some guidelines, class, on how to properly use your SI. Now, this is something, class, na, how do I say this? Kumbaga, dapat alam natin by heart, especially when we start to write SI units. Okay? Like, say, for example, unit names and symbols generally are not capitalized except when used at the beginning of a sentence or in a heading. So, however, the symbol for liters will always be capital. So, kumbaga, class, when we write liters, it should always be okay, it should always be in capital letters. Hindi natin yan ni-express as L lang. Kasi pwede mo pagkamalang 1. Okay, so delikado yun. So, therefore, class, we always write it as ML. L. L as in capital letter L for liters. Now, yung millimeters, normally, small lang naman to. Okay, so, hindi pwede i-capital yun. Right? Same goes with grams. Ang grams natin naman na, class, on the other hand, usually hindi yan kinakapitalize. Other people do. I don't know for what reason. Pero we never capitalize, class, yung gram. Because gram is always expressed as a small letter. Okay? So that's one. What else? In the US, the decimal point is placed on the line with the denomination and the denominate number. However, in some countries, a comma or a raised dot is used. Now, class, in our case, in the Philippines, ginagamit kasi natin US standards. Okay, wherein, when we separate a decimal, class, it's always separated by a dot. Okay, let's say, for example, 1.2 ml, or di kaya 2.4 grams. Dot ang gamit natin. In other countries, class, like, if I'm not mistaken, sa Sweden, or other European countries, class, they use comma. Okay, to separate in decimal. Now, in our case, class, here in the Philippines, we use the US system, so it's always, a decimal place always separated by a dot. Okay? Some countries, ginagamit nila yung dot na sa gitna ng two numbers. That's non-US. Okay, again, class, in the Philippines, we practice the US, SI unit of expression. Okay, wherein ang dot natin is always below. Alright? Or with a decimal with a dot. So what else? Periods are not used following SI symbols except at the end of a sentence. So kung mga class, pag nagsulat tayo halimbawa, a 4 ml liquid was poured in a beaker. Say for example. So class, yung 4 ml na yan, hindi mo kailangan lagyan ng dot yung ml. We only use the dot, class, if we are ending a sentence. Alright? So kumbaga ang units natin wala dapat dot. Okay, kasi inisip na iba baka abbreviation yan of something. So no. If it's a unit class, we don't use a dot. Again, we only use a dot or a period, whenever we end a sentence. So a compound unit that is a ratio or a quotient of two units is indicated by a solidus or a slash, okay, or a negative exponent. Now class, normally halimbawa, speed. Okay, di ba ang unit natin for speed is meters per second? Okay, di ba it's expressed in meters per second or kilometers per hour? Depende na yon. Now class, normally if we're separating two units, okay, it's always separated by a slash. Okay, ibig sabihin meters per second. Now class, pag nakakita ka halimbawa, ang sinulat niyang unit for speed is meter second negative 1, it's still accurate. Okay, yung negative kasi dito class indicates that your speed here is a denominator. Tapos raised to 1, ibig sabihin, as is lang yung unit. Kasi pag yan class ay meter s negative 2, ibig sabihin yan, that's meter per second squared. So, maliwanag ba tayo doon? Yung negative sign na yan class will always indicate, if it's a unit, in a unit. Okay, if we're expressing a unit of something, ang negative sign na yan class will always indicate that it's a denominator. Yung kinabitan ng yung negative sign na yon. So maliwanag ba tayo dyan? Okay, or di kaya halimbawa, pag sinabi ko, the rate constant, K, is equal to 0.5 R negative 1. So ibig sabihin, this is expressed as 0.5 per hour. Are we clear? Very good. Yung negative sign dyan, class, will always indicate that yung unit na to is a denominator. Okay? Tapos kung yan halimbawa ay, say for example, meter negative 3. Okay? So ibig sabihin, that's, halimbawa, 0.1 meter negative 3. So it means it's 0.1 per meter cube. So are we clear with that? Okay, as a unit class, that's how we express it. Personally, class, I don't like using the negative sign. Okay? Medyo nakakalito for some people. Pero class, other literatures or other sources will still use this kind of unit. So, better na alam nyo. Okay? In my class, I rarely use this kind of notation for our units. I still prefer using the solidus. Okay? Yung may slash. Okay? Mas madaling intindihin kesa sa negative chorba-chorba na yan. Alright? Next one. Symbols should not be combined with spelled out terms in the same expression. Let's say, for example, gusto mo isulat milligram per ml. Okay? Class, kung naka-abbreviate to, yung milligrams mo, dapat abbreviated din syempre yung ml. Okay, alam nga naman yung si milligram lang yung naka-abbreviate, tapos si ml, hindi. Sinulat mo buo. Okay, medyo pangit siya tingnan, and it's not a standard way of writing your units. Okay, the standard way class would always be, kung kung gagawin mo, i-abbreviate mo yung units natin, dapat abbreviated lahat. Okay, para may consistency tayo. Okay? Then, plural of unit names, when spelled out, have an added S symbol for units. Now, however, are the same in singular and plural. So, halimbawa class, kung 1 ml or 1 milliliter, 1 milliliter lang. Kung 2 ml, so 2 milliliters. May S na yun, di ba? Kasi plural na siya. 2 ml na yon. Pero class, kung gagamit tayo ng unit name, yung unit lang, okay, abbreviated form ng unit, pag ml yan class, kahit ilan pa yan, will always be ml lang. Hindi yan lalagyan, hindi kailangan lagyan ng S. Like halimbawa, 10 ml. Hindi yan 10 mLs. Okay, it's just 10 ml. Alright, no need to add the S to indicate that it's plural. Okay, for the unit lang. Are we good? Pero if you spell out the entire unit, then yes, put an S. Kasi plural yun, marami yun eh. Okay? Okay. Are we clear so far? Kiribumbum pa naman? Okay, good. Alright, good. Now, 2 symbols exist for microgram. Microgram class is something that we usually use to express units of weight. Ginagamit din naman kasi natin to as a unit for, say for example, concentration of or the amount of drug inside our blood. Normally kasi class, mababa lang yung amount na yun eh. Okay, dumarating sa blood natin, enough to create a response. So class, ang microgram natin, okay, this is a millionth of a gram. Familiar ba kayo sa mga terms na yun, yung mga prefix na yun? Micro, giga, hexa, kinda? Familiar? Okay, good. Alright, right? May mga... Okay? Goods. Alright. So tama, at least familiar na kayo doon. So mga pagsabi kong centi, deca, hexa, nano, mga ganun. Okay, naglagay din naman ako sa notes natin. Pero just in case class, para sa mga hindi masyadong familiar sa mga terms na yon. Okay, pero when we say microgram, that's a millionth of a gram. So -6 yun, times 10 to the -6. Okay? So class, ang micrograms natin would usually be expressed as mcg. This one is what we usually use in pharmacy. Okay, kino-complete natin mcg. Pwede rin naman kasing micro na sign, yung parang U, tapos gram. Now class, in pharmacy, we rarely use this, or actually, especially in the hospital, okay, hindi natin to ginagamit kadalasan. Bakit? Pwede kasing mapagkamalan tong milligrams. Mabilis mapagkamalang milligrams to. Okay, kung ako halimbawa, pangit ako magsulat, pwedeng tingin ko dyan, maging M. Tama ba? Okay, yung mu na, na Greek alphabet. So we don't use this class. Instead, what we use is mcg na. Para at least mas klaro na, I'm dealing with micrograms. Okay? Some things to take note of. Now, the symbol for square meters is meter squared. Okay, so for cubic centimeter, it's centimeter cube or cm cube, and so forth. So in pharmacy practice class, ang centimeter cube na yan, kadalasan we consider it equivalent to 1 ml. Kaya tingnan nyo ka sa mga syringe. Nakita na kayo ng syringe. Right? Oftentimes class, you can either see their graduations. Okay, kung ito yung syringe, ano ba, ito yung syringe natin. Okay, ito yung plunger. Sa mga nagpabakuna dyan. Alam ko may bakuna kanina. Okay? So, di ba kasi mga graduations yan? 1, 2, 3, ganyan. 2, 3, 4, 5, yan. Ganyan. Okay? Yung graduations and class can either be expressed in ml or cc. Cc again means cubic centimeter. And class, remember this, 1 cc is equivalent to 1 centimeter cube is also equivalent to 1 ml. Okay? Most often than not, class, in pharmacy, we use the term ml. Rarely do we use cc. Pero again, in other hospitals or in some devices class, gumagamit pa rin sila ng cc. So the symbol cc for cubic centimeter is not an acceptable SI symbol as much as possible. Okay? We still prefer class to use the terms ml to express volume. So we try to, how do you say this? Unify, in a sense, or standardize our units. Okay, so for volume, that's definitely going to be ml or liters. Now, decimal fractions are used, not common fractions. Okay? Kaya nga sinabi ko sa inyo, importante class na alam natin kung paano i-convert yung mga values natin into decimals. So kung yan ay 5.25, dapat 5.25. You shouldn't see a value that is 5 1/4 gram. Okay? So medyo toxic yun. I mean, pangit tingnan. So just express it class as decimals. Okay? Always in decimal points. Alright? Next, a 0 should be placed in front of a leading decimal point. Let's say, for example, if we say 0.25 grams or 0.25 grams, kailangan may 0 dyan. Okay? 0.25 para ma-indicate that that's 0.25, grams. Okay? We don't write it class as 0.25 lang. Bakit? Yan naman, bakit natin hindi sinusulat siya as 0.25 lang? Kasi kung 0.25 class ang sinulat, paano kung hindi bumukat yung ano? Hindi bumukat yung unang pindot ng ballpen. Okay, yung unang period na ginawa ng ballpen mo. So, mapagkakamalan siya ngayong 25 grams. Again, it's going to affect the value that we're going to give to our patient. Or the dose, say, for example, that we're going to give to our patient. So, again, class, never write 0.25. Lalo na sa mga exams natin or sa mga quizzes. Okay, I don't accept kasi class na 0.25 lang. Kahit alam kong tama naman ang inyong intentions nyo, but there's a proper way kasi of writing it. That's why we're explaining it right now. Okay, so again, lagi may 0 dyan before the dot. Okay, before your decimal place. Next, trailing zeros should not be placed following a whole number on prescriptions or medication orders. Now, class, kung 5 milligrams yan, no need to write 5.0000 grams. Okay? Kasi yung 5.0000 grams na yan can just easily be written as 5 grams. Yun lang din naman yun, right? Okay, no need to add class trailing zeros. Bakit hindi pwedeng mag-add ng trailing zeros? Again, pwedeng mapagkamalang tong 50,000. Okay, pag ganyan yan. Or kung halimbawa, 5.0, as simple as that. Pwede kung kasi mapagkamalang 50 milligrams yan. So, delikado yun. Right? Okay, so as much as possible, class, we don't put trailing zeros. Right? After a whole number. So, kung 5.25 yan, 5.25 milligrams, assist na yan. Hindi na kailangan isulat na 5.250 milligrams. Ginawa niyo ba to sa ano? Yung sa mga nakatawag to? Ano nga ba tawag dito? Yung significant figures, yung magdadagdag pa kayo ng 000 ngayon. Kaya I really hate that concept, class. Kasi in practice, that's impractical. Just write the whole number. Okay? Tapos sabihin na lang sa'yo kung ilang decimal place ang kailangan ko. Usually in practice, class, just use 2 decimal places. That's why, class, I don't ask for significant figures anymore in my exams. Laging 2 decimal places lang yan. Okay? Whatever your answer is, basta 2 decimal places lang. I don't care about the significant figures. Kasi, class, again, in practice, mas nakakalito yun. And we don't usually do that in practice din. Kasi, again, class, pwedeng magkamali ang tingin sa mga numbers na sinusulat mo. Alright? Pero that's just me, I'm not saying it's a wrong concept. Okay? In practice lang, class, okay, to be more realistically, class, we don't do those kinds of things. Alright? Okay. So next one, in selecting symbols of units or unit dimensions, the choice generally is based on selecting the unit that will result in a numeric value between 1 and 1,000. As much as possible kasi, class, we prefer to express our values between 1 and 1,000 lang. So kung halimbawa, class, ang value ko is, say for example, 1 millionth. Okay? 1 million milligrams. Alright? 1, 2, 3 milligrams. Okay? Kung a millionth of a milligram na yan, class, I'd rather express that in kilograms. So nagets ba, class? Okay? So usually, a millionth of a milligram would be 1 kilogram. No, class, bakit? Kasi prefer natin na ipakita ang values natin between 1 and 1,000 lang. And that's how you choose the units that we usually use. Okay? Pero, class, again, in my case, class, in our class, sasabihin ko naman lagi sa inyo kung anong units ang kailangan nyo gamitin. Right? Di ko naman hilig magpalito-lito ng mga ganito. Okay? Pero again, just so you know, whenever we express a unit of a weight, say for example, we try to simplify it, class, by expressing the value of the whole number between 1 and 1,000. Simple as that. Right? So, halimbawa, 1.96 kilogram is preferable compared to 1,960 grams. Mas prefer ito. Or 500 grams is preferred than 0.5 kilograms. Take note of the terms I'm using, is preferred. Hindi ko sinasabing mali. It's just preferred. Are we clear? Are we good? Okay. So, some special considerations, class, of the SI in pharmacy. For large-scale manufacture, okay, yung tipong maramihan na yung pinaproduce nilang gamot, usually, ang unit ng kanilang weight would always be expressed in kilograms. Okay? And for the unit of volume would be in kiloliter. Right? So, that's kiloliter. Now, class, what about for small scale? Or halimbawa, nagko-compound lang kayo. Ako, feeling ko hindi kayo mapapagawang mag-compound sa dosage form, no? Hindi nga ba? Mukhang malabo, no? Okay, anyway. Now, class, in dosage form kasi, oftentimes, either grams or milligrams yung units na ginagamit natin. Tapos in terms of volume, the unit that we usually use is ml. Okay, milliliters. Okay. Now, measures of length, volume, and weight. Normally, class, for length, we use meter. Okay, yun na nga, binanggit natin kanina. For volume class, it's liters. Right? And then for weight class, it's usually expressed in grams. Okay, and then of course, their symbol are as follows. So M for meter. For liters class, it should be capital L. And then for grams would be small letter G. Okay? So ito yung sinasabi ko kanina. Yung mga multiples of units, fractions and multiples of units, and their corresponding prefix. Okay, so pag halimbawa, pag sinabing kilo, that's 10 to the third. Okay? Or pag mega, 10 to the sixth. So pag micro naman, 10 to the negative 6 or a millionth of churva, ganyan. Okay? Now, class, one thing na lagi kong, when I was a student back then, okay, nahihirapan lagi akong i-express to in decimals. Right? In my case, nahihirapan ako express in decimals. So, halimbawa, ibibigay sa akin as sino. So, halimbawa, express 2 times 10 to the third kilogram. Okay, so 2 times 10 to the third. I-express ko to in decimal. So, okay, 2 times 10 to the third. Pag positive ang value class, yung exponent na to, automatic, alam ko kung ano yan, ilang zeros ang ilalagay ko. Normally, kukopyahin ko lang kung 12 to, de 12 zeros ang idadagdag ko. So, kung 2 times 10 to the third to, ibig sabihin, 3 zeros ang ilalagay ko. So, that's 2, 1, 2, 3 kilogram. Okay? Yun yung pag positive yung exponent ko dito. Pero pag negative yan, class, let's say, for example, 1 times 10 to the negative 3 grams. Okay? Pag negative ang value niyan, class, ito mga yan, negative. Automatic yan, okay? Ang itinatak ko sa isip ko is ima-minus, kung ilan yung number dyan, minus ako ng isang zero. So, halimbawa, kung negative 3 yan, ibig sabihin, 2 zero lang ang ilalagay ko sa harap ng whole number. Nagets ba? So, ibig sabihin, parang ganito ang lalabas dyan. 0 point, dapat sa 2 zero, 1 gram. Okay? Yan. O di kaya, pag halimbawa, sinabi natin 2.5 times 10 to the 9th gram. Okay, so 2.5, ibig sabihin, 8 zero ilalagay ko sa harap ng 2. So 0.1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 to 5 grams. Okay? Are we good? Now, class kasi, ulitin ko lang kaya ako iniisip to lagi because for me, class, I want to keep my values grounded to decimals. Okay? Whenever I compute, ako to. Kung kayo sanay gumamit ng scientific notation at alam nyo kung ano mga pipindutin nyo, stick to what you know. Alright? In my case, class, when I was a student, hirap na hirap ako dito, kaya lagi kong ginagawang decimals ang values na meron ako. Okay? Kahit nakasino yan, okay, automatic ko convert yan. Kahit gaano kahaba yan, isusulat ko lahat yan sa calculator ko. Okay? That's me. Or di kaya isusulat ko lahat ng zero na yan sa papel ko. Okay? I won't express it as scientific notation. Okay? Kasi sabi ko, mas nalilito ako pag naka-scientific notation. Alright? So, I'm just sharing this to you guys. Okay? If you have your own technique, class, use your own technique. No problem. If you want to share it to your classmates, go ahead. Huwag lang during exam, ha? Or quizzes natin. Walang sharing doon. As much as possible, no? Are we clear? Okay? This is something, class, that you need to know inherently na. Okay? Again, in practice, ma-memorize mo lahat to. Alright? Pero in my case, class, again, ang gusto kong ma-develop nyo dito is the skill in computing, not necessarily for you guys to memorize all of these conversion factors. Okay? So during quiz natin class or exams, during na computation, usually open notes lagi ako. Okay? I don't ask for my students to memorize, especially the conversion. I just need you guys to know how to compute. Right? Okay. Na class, measures of length, ang baseline natin again is meters. So pag sabi ng decimeter, that's negative 10. Or that's the 10th. Centi, negative 100th. Okay? And so on and so forth. Right? Tapos pag deka, then that's 10th. Okay? Hecto, 100. Kilo, 1,000. Okay? And so on and so forth. Alright? So dito natin i-apply ngayon yung mga prefix na to. Okay? So sa volume naman, right? Ang standard natin will always be in liters. Okay? Again, ito yung pataas, ito yung pababa. The values. Pag sinabi kong milliliters, ibig sabihin mas malit ang milliliters kesa kay liter. Okay? Between kiloliters and liters, sino mas malaki na value? Definitely, it's going to be the kiloliters. Okay? And of course, in terms of weight, ganun din naman. So basically, class, the same lang naman sila. Basta alam natin kung ano ang base unit na gagamitin natin for weight, length, and mass. Okay? Or weight. Weight, length, sorry, volume. Volume pa lang, hindi ko nabanggit. Okay, weight, length, and volume. So, some fundamental, questions? Any questions so far? Okay pa naman? Okay, good. Okay pa naman? Okay pa naman lahat? Okay. So some things ng class, some fundamental computations. So usually class, when we're reducing an SI unit to a lower or higher denomination by using a unit position scale. So usually class, we move the decimal point to the right to convert a larger unit to a smaller unit. Okay, and then we move the decimal point to the left to convert a smaller unit to a larger unit. Okay, let's say for example, 100 milligrams. I want to convert this to kilograms. So, saan mag-move yung decimal place ko? It's going to move to the left. Okay? So, alam naman natin, di ba, that, okay, ko-convert ba natin? O, sige. So, class, in this case, isa-isahin natin, dahan-dahanin natin para sa lahat. Okay? Now, class, if it's 100 milligram, then sabi natin, grams muna tayo. In 1 gram, there is 1,000 milligram. Okay? And then 1 gram. Okay, and then 1,000 grams are there in 1 kilogram. So cancel, 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 cancel. Dimensional analysis tayo. So this is going to give you, kita nyo, okay, I prefer class decimals. Kasi kahit gaano kahaba yan, isusulat ko ng buo yan sa calculator ko. Okay, so that would be 0.1231 kilograms. Okay, 100 milligram is equivalent to 0.0001 kilogram. So tingnan nyo class, saan nag-move yung decimal place ko? It moved to the left. Because I converted a smaller unit to something that is of a larger unit. Okay? Okay. Tapos class, kung yan ay larger to smaller, usually we're going to move to the right. Okay? So I think na-gets niyo naman na, right? Are we good? Okay, ulitin ko ba? Nagbibigay tayo isang example? Okay na. Sige, isang example daw. Okay? Sa halimbawa class, dito tayo. Okay, we're going to convert a larger unit to something that's smaller. Let's go for liters. Okay, let's say for example, 2.5 liters. We want to convert this to, so siya convert into ml. ml na lang. Okay? So in this case class, so 2.5 liters, 1 liter is equivalent to 1,000 ml. Tama kasi milliliters. Okay, so 1,000 ml. So therefore class, cancel to si liters, matitira si ml. Ang mangyayari dyan would be 2,500 ml. So si class, saan yung direction ng aking decimal point? It went to the right. So gumanon siya. Okay? So andito na ngayon yung decimal point ko. Hindi ko na kailangan isulat yon because alam kong andyan na yan. Right? No need to write decimal point kung zero lang naman ang susundan niya or whole number naman. Walang ibang, hindi mo na kailangan maglagay ng trailing zero after the decimal point. Alright? So are we good? Okay, so I hope that makes sense. Right? So try this one class. Well, actually, pili ko kaya nyo na rin naman to. Okay, try this on your own. 9,876 milligrams, convert that to grams. Okay? So between milligrams and grams, grams is a larger unit. Yes, may question?
Napindot lang po.
Napindot lang ba? Oh, okay, okay. Alright, so try this one class. Convert it to grams lang. Okay, kung may sagot na, raise your hand lang. Yan, Miss Sorima. Nauna siya.
9.876 grams.
Okay, very good. That would definitely give you 9.876 grams. Okay? So nangyari dito, we're converting a smaller unit to a larger unit. Okay, so usog tayo pa kaliwa. Right? Okay. Oops. Okay. So are we good? Let's proceed. Okay, what about this one, class? Feeling ko kaya-kaya nyo na to. Reduce 85 micrometers to centimeters. Yun, Miss Sorima ulit. Ay, iba naman. Sorry, sino pa yung isa? May nag-raise pa isang hand. Okay, Miss Sapon?
0.85 centimeters.
Okay, very good. So you get here, class, 0.85 centimeters. Okay? So nag-guess nyo na ba kung paano nakuha to? Kini Bumbong? Okay. Okay. So tama yung class, you get here 0.85 centimeters. Okay, papakita pa ba natin? Okay na. Sige na, pakita na natin. What the heck? Alright, so class, micrometers. Okay, dahan-dahanin natin ulit. Okay, especially sa mga nahihiyang magtanong. Right, so 85 micrometers. That's usually class A. Pag micro, ibig sabihin, a millionth of a meter, right? Right? So class, kung yan ay a millionth of a micrometer, of a meter pala, sorry. So that would mean, okay, convert ko muna siya into meters para mas dahan-dahan tayo. So 1 meter is equivalent to 1 million micrometers. Okay? Are we good? All right. So 1 million micrometer. Now class, dahil meter ito, so sabi natin, 1 meter, kasi kailangan is centimeter, right? How many centimeters are there in 1 meter? Centi, like centennial, would mean? Anyone? How many centimeters are there in 1 meter? Because now the centi means it's okay? O, sige na nga. 100 centimeters. Alright? Okay. So let's try. So 85 micrometers divided by a millionth. 1, 2, 3. Times 100. Oops! Sorry, hindi pala 0.85. That will be 8.5 times 10 to the negative 3. Okay, sorry about that. Okay, so that's 8.5 times 10 to the negative 3 centimeter. Baka ang unatang ginawa niya yata is millimeter. Baka nag-millimeter si Madam kanina. Okay, so this one is micrometer. So usually class expressed as micro m. Okay, this is micrometer. Right? Or sabihin natin 0.0085 centimeter. Okay, nakulangan lang tayong dalawang usog dito ng decimal place. So are we clear? Okay ba tayo dyan, guys? Okay pa naman? Okay. So again, class, as much as possible, especially mga conversions, mga units natin, mga conversions, mga conversion factors, okay? I would advise you guys to write that down in a paper or di kaya ilagay nyo sa index card para pag nag-exam tayo, may sinisilip kayo na conversion. Okay? Now, class, huwag kayong mag-alala. Sabi ko sa inyo, in due time, class, as you constantly practice this, na-memorize mo na lang to ng hindi mo namamalayan. Okay? So, I won't require you guys to memorize this, but I do need you guys to know how to compute. Are we good so far? Okay. So next, actually same lang naman to. Reducing SI units to a lower or higher denomination by ratio and proportion. So pwede rin naman kasi gawin to. Mag-ratio and proportion tayo. So So how do we do this? Yung ginagawa natin kanina was dimensional analysis. Okay, so kung mag-ratio and proportion tayo is, ito na yan. If 1 kilogram is equivalent to 1,000 grams, then 1.23 kilograms is to X grams. Okay? Nakita nyo, class, kung paano ko to sinulat? Right? Sa mga hindi masyadong familiar sa pag-ratio and proportion, tandaan nyo lang lagi, class, ha? This is a separate proportionality, separate din ito. Okay? Ngayon, class, kung ano yung arrangement na nakasulat sa first proportionality, dapat same ang arrangement sa second proportionality. So, ito yung first, ito yung second. At same ang arrangement. Kung nauna si kilogram, tapos si gram, dapat ang sa second na proportionality natin, una rin si kilogram, tapos sunod si grams. So, maliwanag? Okay. So, now, class, so kung 1 kilogram is to 1,000 grams, then 1.25 kilograms is equivalent to how many grams? So, class, ang gagawin lang natin dyan would be inside, inside, outside, outside. Or extremes, extremes, means, means. Okay? So, ang lalabas dyan, class, multiply lang to. So, 1,000 times 1.25 tapos 1 times x. Right? So, ang lalabas dyan would be 1.25 times 1,000. Ay, sorry, 1.23. Ano ba yan? Times 1,000. Class, correct me anytime if I'm nagkakamali ako, ha? Okay, if you think na kasi talagang minsan nalilito rin ako. Okay? Nangyari na yung minsan sa namin, sa isang subject ko. Sabi ko, class, just correct me anytime. Okay, and this would give you 1,230 grams. Okay? Okay, sorry, alam niyo naman kung paano ginawa yun, right? Okay, so ang mangyari lang dyan is, sige, let's break it down to make everyone understand. Right? So 1,000 grams times 1.23, so you get 1,230 grams dot kilogram. Tapos x dot kilogram equals ganyan. So para matanggal yung kilograms na to, divide ko lang both sides by kilogram. So of course, I'm assuming this is equivalent to 1 kilogram. Okay, so para mawala yung units na yan, so x equals 1 to 30 grams. Okay. Now, this is mga class, let's talk about the addition and subtraction of these SI units. So, class, pag nag-add ka or nag-subtract ng mga SI units, make sure that your units are all the same. Okay? That's the reason why, class, whenever we do computations, especially in FarmCal, okay, normally, class, sa given pa lang, okay, we try to make sure na lahat ng units natin halos magkakapareho lahat, or pwedeng i-add or subtract, and so on and so forth. Then arrange as ordinary decimals. Okay? Let me do this one first. Right? So class, halimbawa, add 1 kilogram, 250 milligrams, and 7.5 grams. Express the totals in grams. May space yan, ha? In grams. Okay? So now, class, alam kong dapat in grams ito. So i-convert ko muna lahat ng hindi in grams into grams. So therefore, that's 1 kilogram. Okay? So sabi daw, dapat in grams siya. So, ang gagawin lang natin dyan would be 1 kilogram is equivalent to 1,000 grams. Alright? Si milligrams naman, si milligrams, tama. So, 250 milligrams. Sabi natin, there's 1,000 milligrams, sorry, in 1 gram. Okay? Tapos, syempre, 7.5 in grams naman na yan. So, hindi ko nagagalawin yan. So, that's 7.5 grams. So, dito, meron tayong 1,000 grams. Cancel to. 250 divided by 1,000. So, that would give me 0.25 grams. Then, 7.5 grams. Tapos, arrange lang. So, 1,000. Sa pinakailalim pala dapat to. Plus 0. Oops, dito na lang tayo. 0.25. So, kunwari may 0.0 dyan. 7.5. So, proper arrangement na lang ng ating mga numbers. Okay, so obviously, gagawin ko na lang sa calculator ko. And you get 1,007.75 grams. Okay? Ayos ba tayo? Alright. So class, ang gusto ko lang i-take away nyo dito is, kapag mag-add kayo class ng mga ganito, halimbawa, units of weights, alright? And then class, kailangan nyo sila pagsamahin, make sure na may common unit silang lahat. Okay, make sure that they all will have a common unit. So in this case, class, if it's in grams, so it's nasa problem naman natin, is nabi that we express it in grams. So, yun lang gagawin natin. Okay? Okay. At the end of the day, class, ang importante dito is alam niyo yung mga conversion factors natin. Okay? Kung ilang milligrams ba in 1 gram, and so on and so forth. So sa mga hindi ma-memorize pa to, class, I suggest isulat niyo siya sa isang pirasong papel. Ulit-ulitin ko to. Sulat niyo sa isang papel, class. Right? Para pag tayo, tingnan-tingnan niyo lang. Pag nag-quiz tayo, or nag-exam, or nag-seat work, para may titingnan kayo. Kasi class, trust me, as we keep on doing this, mamememorize at mamememorize niyo yan. Na hindi niyo namamalaya. Right? So here, class, we have a case or a scenario wherein a nurse telephones a pharmacy regarding the proper quantity of an injection to administer to a pediatric patient from a 1 ml vial containing 0.1 milligram of digoxin. The attending physician has quantity of an injection to administer to a pediatric patient from a 1 ml vial containing 0.1 milligram digoxin. The physician had prescribed a dose of 25 micrograms. How many ml should the pharmacist respond? Should be the pharmacist response pala, sorry. So, ang question dito, class, is, meron akong stock dose at may required dose si physician ko. So, sige, class, allow me to answer this one first. Okay? So, sabi nga sa inyo, class, most of the time, when we do computations, always write your given. Okay? So, ang given ko, class, is yung digoxin. Ang sabi dito, we usually call this class stock dose. Stock dose meaning ito yung available sa butika ko. So, halimbawa, ang stock dose ng digoxin natin is per 1 ml, meron siyang 0.1 mg digoxin. So, meaning in a 1 ml vial, it contains 0.1 mg of digoxin. So, stock dose ko, 1 ml vial, which contains 0.1 milligrams digoxin. Now, ang doctor's order, ang order ng doktor ko is to give 25 micrograms. So, ang required ko ngayon, how many ml should be administered. Okay, this amount that will give 25 micrograms of the drug. Okay? So, sabi ko sa inyo, class, in my case, usually pag tinitingnan ko na to, dito pa lang sa given, magko-convert na ako. Okay, usually sa given pa lang, nagko-convert na ako. So, sige, let's do this the long way ulit. Okay? Ano ba yung mga units na meron ako dito? Meron akong ml, meron akong milligrams, meron akong micrograms. Ano yung pwede kong pagpantayin? Okay, so, syempre, pwede kong pagpantayin ngayon dito yung units of weight, which is milligrams and micrograms. So, in my case, pwede ko naman convert to into milligrams or pwede ito, gagawin ko micrograms. Pili ka na lang. So sige, gawin na lang natin yung doctor's order na instead of micrograms, gawin natin milligrams. Alright? So convert natin. So let's do this the long way. Alright? Para klaro sa lahat. So sabi natin, convert mo na siya to grams. So 1 gram is equivalent to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 micrograms. 1 million micrograms. Tapos, sabi natin, how many micrograms are there in 1 milligram? So that's 1,000. So 1,000. Ay, joke. Ba't ako sa micrograms? Sa grams pala ako. Sorry. 1 gram is equivalent to 1,000 milligrams. Okay? So, cancel. Ito, cancel na rin to. So, mangyayari dyan would be 25 divided by 1 million, 3, 4, 5, 6, times 1,000. You get an answer of 0.025 milligrams, right? Okay, so now class, ang solution ko dito, will just simply be a ratio and proportion. Alright? So, paano ko siya i-ratio and proportion? May stock dose kasi ako. Okay, I already have a stock dose. So, ang sabi ng stock dose ko, yes, may question? Miss Fatma? Okay na. Okay. Okay. So, ang ating stock dose is simply 1 ml. 1 ml vial daw contains 0.1 milligrams ng digoxin. So, therefore, X ml is equivalent to 0. So, how many ml do I need to get a 0.25 milligram dose? Okay? So, yun ang gagawin ko ratio and proportion ko. Kasi ang tanong lang naman sa akin dito is, sabi ng physician, ibigay daw 25 micrograms. Okay, so na-convert natin siya into milligrams para match-match yung mga units natin. So, sabi natin, it's 0.025 milligrams. Okay? So, now, plus the question is, how many ml should I administer? Kasi yung digoxin natin is in ml. Okay, volume yun. Liquid yun, liquid. Right? So, sabi nga natin, in, out, out. So, means, extremes, extremes. So, lalabas dyan, x would be equal to 0.025 divided by 0.1. You have to give 0.25 ml. So, meaning, 0.25 ml of my vial will contain 25 micrograms of digoxin, which is based on the doctor's order. So, okay ba tayo dyan? Naintindihan naman, class? Okay, good. Alright, so does that make sense, class? Right? So, normally, class, pag ganyan, pag may stock dose ka na, usually, yan lang naman ang question dyan eh. In milligrams yung kinompute ni doctor na dose, tatanungin nyo lang ilang ml ang bibigay ko. Okay, kasi yun naman talaga i-administer din ni nurse in ml eh. Alam naman timbangin niya pa yun, right? Okay, so gagamit lang ng syringe, yun na. Kuha lang tayo ng 0.25 ml doon sa syringe. Okay, dokes. Okay. Are we good? Let's proceed. Okay, relationships of the SI to other systems of measurement. Now, class, ulitin ko lang ha, in pharmacy practice, it's standard to always use SI system. However, there are cases wherein other people or other pharmacies are using different units. Okay? So, we have to consider din naman kung convertible ba yung mga units nila into SI units. So, as much as possible, class, we stick with the SI unit. So, normally, class, we have the following system of measurements. So, one is avoirdupois, and then the other one is apothecary units, or apothecary systems of measurement. Pag avoirdupois yan, class, okay? Naalala ko nung student ako, avoirdupois ang tawag ko dyan. Avoirdupois. Then I was corrected, it's pronounced as avoirdupois. Okay, French daw siya, something, I don't know. Okay, so, yeah. So, usually, class, ang kanilang unit of weight, say, for example, is usually in ounces, pounds. Yan, so avoirdupois yun, or English unit natin. Okay, because the English system of measurement. Then apothecaries, class, these are the traditional systems of pharmacy. So alam niyo naman siguro, di ba, ang dating tawag sa mga butika is our apothecaries, right? So the apothecaries back then, class, have their own unit of measurements. So it's the traditional way of measuring, okay, the units na ginagamit during measurements. So what's the predominant pharmacist system of volumetric and weight measurement? Ito yung dati. So, when quantities in units of the apothecaries or avoirdupois systems are encountered, it is suggested that they usually be converted to equivalent quantities in SI units. Kasi again, nowadays, the standard class in any pharmacy practice will always be using an SI unit. So, units and the required calculations then solved in the usual manner. So, these are some of the usual conversions, class. Conversion factors na meron tayo in terms of the avoirdupois or the apothecary. So halimbawa, class, 1 inch is considered to be is equal to 2.54 centimeters. Okay, 1 meter is equivalent to 39.37 inches. Right? So I suggest, class, you have something like this. Okay, pero hiwa-hiwalayin nyo yung yung length, yung weight, saka volume para madali nyong i-flip through kung alin matitingnan ninyo. May mga estudyante kasi ako dati, napakahaba ng listahan, sinulat lahat. Ayan, sinulat lang dyan. Ngayon, hindi na alam kung alin ang hanapin nilang conversion factor. Okay? Kasi isa-isayin pa nila tingnan yun. So at least kung alam mo na kung alin yung pang units ng weight, units ng pang volume, okay, and so on and so forth. So class, 1 fluid ounce is equivalent to 29.57, but there's a but here. Usually class, the other hospitals try to simplify this. Instead of 29.57, sinasabi nila is 30 ml. But the standard class is 29.57. So 1 pint, as English, ano pa rin to? English unit of measurement. Usually ginagamit na lang to sa alcohol. Okay? Diba yung 1 pint? O di ka sa ice cream. Bumibili ba kayo ng 1 pint na ice cream? Familiar kayo? 1 pint of ice cream class is equivalent to 473 ml. Alright? So, syempre, ang sayang naman yung ink ng printer. Pag sulat nila 473 ml yung ice cream nyo, susulat lang nila is 1 pint na lang. Okay? So, and so on and so forth. So, 1 quarts is equivalent to 32 fluid ounces or equivalent to 946 ml. Alright? And so on and so forth. So, ito, 1 gallon, 3785. Alam nyo, class, naalala ko tuloy nung college ako, pinamemorize sa amin ito lahat. Right? So, in my case, class, ayoko maranasan yung naranasan kong yun. Kasi na-realize ko nung nagpa-practice na ako, putik, di ko na pala kailangan i-memorize lahat. Oh, pwede naman ako maglabas ng cellphone. Okay? Or di ka pwede ako maglabas ng kodigo in real life. So, again, class, ang one thing that I want you guys to take note of is the skills on how to convert. So, alam niyo yung conversion factors natin. Okay, then equivalent weights, like 1 pound is 454 grams. Or class, we say that 1 kilogram is equivalent to 2.2 pounds. Now, class, gamit na gamit hanggang sa ngayon yung pounds, just so you know. Okay, magugulat, class, most of the time sa board exams, yung weight ng patient natin hindi na-express in kilograms, sometimes expressed in pounds. So, this is something, class, that you need to really know. Okay, yung conversion natin from pounds to kilograms. Kasi gamit na gamit yan. Right, in terms of apothecaries naman, class, these are some of the examples. Okay, let's say, for example, 1 gallon is equivalent to 4 quarts. Okay, 1 gallon is equivalent to 8 pints. Okay, or 1 gallon is equivalent to 128 fluid ounces, equivalent to 4 quarts, equivalent to 8 pints. Okay, in terms of fluid drachms, 1 gallon is equivalent to 1,024 fluid drachms. So obviously, class, hindi natin ito ginagamit talaga. Okay, these are units that I have never seen anyone using these units. Or in practice, class, never heard of this. Fluid ounces, pwede pa. Okay? Nakakita pa kayo, or pints, or quarts. Pero never the fluid drachms or the minims. Okay, and so on and so forth. So, ito yung conversion niya na straight yan. So, 1 gallon is equivalent to 6,144 minims. Or 1,024 fluid drachm is equivalent to 61,440 minims. So on and so forth. Okay, so yun yung table na ito. Okay, as for the units of weight naman, ito yun. Okay, so 1 pound equivalent to 12 ounces, 96 grams, okay, 288 scruples, or 5,760 grains. Okay, grains, class, ito ay ginagamit pa hanggang ngayon. So just so you know, yung unit yan would be GR. Ginagamit ito, class, for phenobarbital hanggang ngayon. Okay, I don't know why they still use this, but hindi na sila mag-micrograms. Okay, pero in our phenobarbital class, gumagamit pa sila ng grades. Okay, so ito yung buong conversion factor niya, conversion table. And for the avoirdupois class, in terms of weight, ito lang naman yun. So 1 pound is equivalent to 16 ounces. Okay, if you want to convert this to kilograms, convert mo na to pounds yung ounces, then convert to kilograms, so on and so forth. Okay, so here are the practical and precise conversion equivalents of some of the units that we have. Again, no need to memorize this. I'm just showing this to you guys para malaman nyo yung conversion tables natin. Okay, so halimbawa, 1 ml is equivalent to 16.23 minims, pero the precise equivalent of that is 16.23073. Okay, again, class, in practice, normally, class, 2 decimal places lang yan. Right? Usually 2 decimal places. And so on and so forth. Okay? Can we proceed? Okay na ba? Okay, so these are just the tables. Basta alam nyo kung paano tayo mag-convert. Wala tayong problema. Okay, so try this lang, class. Okay, open notes naman to. Okay, mag-alala. Or actually, ako na nga lang. Huwag na muna. Ako na lang, ha. So how many grains of a chemical are left in a 1 ounce avoirdupois bottle after 7 drams are dispensed from it? Okay. So class, ang tanong dito is how many grains, okay, are left in a 1 ounce avoirdupois bottle after 7 drams, are dispensed from it. So, ang kailangan lang dito kasi suot natin yung given natin. Okay, total volume ko would be equivalent to 1 ounce. Ay, sorry, hindi pala to, ano. Ba't ba sinabi ko ounce? Di volume, sorry, total weight. Sorry about that. Sorry, pag nakakita kasi ako ng ounce, automatic fluid ounce agad ang naiisip ko. Okay, so please remember there is an ounce for weight. Total weight ko is 1 ounce. So, naglabas tayo ng dispense, total dispense. Or sabihin natin total remove is equivalent to 7 grams. So, ang required is how much remains in grains. Okay? In grains, yung ang kailangan natin dito. So, obviously, class, we need to convert all of this into grains para makuha natin yung magkano, ilan na lang natitira in grains. So, again, depende kung paano yung approach to, ha. So, again, class, di ko nga kayo pinamemorize dahil di ko rin kaya i-memorize to. So, titingin tayo sa kodigo natin. Wait lang, ha. 1 ounce is equivalent to, how many grains ba? Yun. So, 16 ounces is 7,000. Sulat ko muna saglit lang. Yeah. 16 ounce is equivalent to 7,000 grains. So, ano yung isang unit natin kanina? Drams? Alright, drams. Saan ang drams natin? Yun. So, 1 pound is equivalent to 96 drams. Ito nga, check ko lang baka may iba namang ano dyan. And 1 pound is equivalent to 12 ounces. And 12 ounces, yan. Tapos 16 ounce equivalent to 7,000 grains. Okay. Or 1 pound na lang. Sus, ba't ba ako mag-ounces pala? 1 pound is 5,760 grains. Okay. Alright. So, class, again, depende kung paano nyo ito i-approach. Pero in my case, so we have here ounces. Convert natin lahat into grains. Okay, so 1 ounce is equivalent to, so ang conversion factor natin dito would be 16 ounces equivalent to 7,000 grains. Okay, so at least ito, labas agad, it's grains. Now, for drums naman, sabi natin sa kay drums, 96 drums is equivalent to 1 pound. At ang sabi natin, that 1 pound is equivalent to 5,760 grains. So, drums, pounds, pounds, equal. Okay? So, 7,000 divided by 16 is equal to 437.5 grains. Ang total natin, total dispense would be, okay, 7 divided by 96 equals times 5,760 equals 420 grains. Okay? So, solution, remaining ang kailangan natin, right? So, remaining is equal to total weight minus yung total dispense na tinanggal So, ang total weight natin is 437.5 grains minus 420 grains. And what remains would be 437.5, 17.5 grains. Okay ba tayo? Nagets ba, class? Nagets ba kung paano kinompute? Okay, so babalikan ko lang ha, paano ko ito na-compute. Alright, so again, class, kaya napaka-importanting isulat mo lagi yung given mo muna. Right, para you have an overview of what you're trying to compute here. So class, ang sabi lang naman kasi ito is, how many grains of a chemical are left in a 1 ounce bottle after 7 drams are dispensed from it? Class, familiar na kayo sa, di ba, Roman numerals? Right? You guys are familiar with that? Okay. So this one, this is VII, so that's 511. Class, just so you know, importante pa rin na alam natin itong mga Roman numerals na to. Kasi believe it or not, class, sumalabas pa rin sa board exams. I remember one time when I took the board exams, ang lumabas sa akin doon is, parang ganito, X is. Number 1, ang question, X is. Tapos ang choice is A5, B10, C30, D50. Okay, yan yung board exam question ko ng class. Number 1 yan. Alright? So, syempre, class, ako, alam mo kung una ko naisip dito? Una ko naisip dito, class, algebra. Sabi ko, asan yung equation na isosolve ko? Kala ko proportionality to. X is, ganun daw. So, sabi ko, patay, bahala na. So, ang ginawa ko ng board exams ako, nag-toss coin ako. Sabi ko, Lord, kayo na bahala, hindi ko talaga alam kung anong sagot dito. Toss coin ako, sabi ni Lord sa akin, B daw ang sagot, 10. So, sabi ko, sinade ko, 10. Tapos nagtanungan lang kami mga kaibigan ko, barkada ko, pre, anong sagot mo, pre, sa X is? Sabi niya, pre, 10. Sabi ko, uy, putya, tama ako. Tungtuwa ako, sabi ko, yes. Sabi, pre, paano naging 10 yun, pre? Sabi niya, gagi, X yun, Roman numeral. Narinig ng isang barkada ko, sabi niya, putek, 750 sinagot ko. Right? So, class, sometimes as easy as that, right? Sometimes kasi ako, sometimes my brain tends to complicate simple things. Right? So, try to keep that in mind din, ha? There are some things that are still simple in life. May mga bagay na simple pa sa buhay natin. Right? So, again, class, in this case, so 7 drams. Yun lang naman. So, convert all units into something that you can cancel or something that is uniform throughout all of them. Okay, so sabi natin, since in grains ang kailangan natin, so convert natin lahat in grains. Right, so 1 ounce, convert natin to grains. So that's 437.5 grains. 7 drams, convert natin to grains, which is equivalent to 420 grains. So it's just a simple subtraction na lang. Okay, so again, class, ang kailangan natin dito talaga, class, is skills in analyzing the problem. Okay, skills in understanding the problem. I don't need you guys to memorize anything. I just need you guys to know how to analyze the problem. Right? Okay. That makes sense. Next one, class. Okay, may oras pa tayo. Salamat, Lord. Now, class, let's talk about Aliquot. Okay? Familiar ba kayo sa term na Aliquot? Hindi kayo familiar. Okay lang yan. Kasi, class, when I was studying, whenever I hear the word Aliquot, nung bata, nung estudyante pa ako, okay, pag Aliquot, parang kapiranggot. Okay? Kapiranggot. So from a bigger whole, class, I'm going to get something smaller, which is of equivalent concentration. Parang ganun yan. So class, as defined kasi, aliquot is any part that is contained in a whole number of times in a quantity. Wow, ang technical. Kumbaga, ito lang. It is a helpful method by which small quantities of a substance may be obtained within the degree of accuracy desired. So usually, used when making paper tabs. So parang ganito yan, class. Say, for example, this is a whole. Okay, isang whole yan. Okay, sabihin natin, class, this whole contains, kumari lang naman, 15 grams of a drug substance. Okay, 15 grams of a drug. Alright? Tapos, class, ang total weight nito is, say, for example, 1 kilogram. 1,000 grams na lang, para pare-pareho tayo lahat. Now, class, I need a sample of this that would give me a certain amount of that drug, pero kapiranggot lang nung whole na to. So, kukuha ko ng kapiranggot nito. So, halimbawa, kailangan ko lang nito is 10 grams. Now, how much of that drug is in this 10 grams? From the bigger chunk. Okay? Nanggaling sa bigger chunk. Okay. Bigyan ko kayo ng isa pang halimbawa. Normally, class, ginagamit natin ito in paper tab making. Familiar ba kayo sa paper tabs? Have you heard of the term paper tabs? Paper tabs, class, ito yung ginagamit natin when we're dosing children, pediatric patients, neonates. Obviously, class, kung neonate yan, ano ang dose niya? Mas malaki, mas maliit? Definitely, mas maliit kasi maliit lang ang baby. Okay, ang laki ng niliit niyan. So normally, class, ang dosing ng pediatric population is always specialized. Is always individualized for their needs. For their individual needs. Maliwanag ba tayo doon? So oftentimes, class, we have to compute for their dose. A good example of this class would usually be phenobarbital. Okay? So phenobarbital. Nagpe-paper tabs tayo dyan, or di kaya digoxin. Okay, digoxin class is a cardiac glycoside para yun sa puso. Para lumakas yung tibok ng puso. Halimbawa, lumabas si baby, may congenital anomaly yung kanyang heart. Yung heart niya hindi pumapump ng maayos. So therefore, kailangan niya ng pampalakas ng pagtibok ng puso niya. Kailangan niya ba pag-ibig? Marami na siyang pag-ibig na nakuha sa kanyang magulang. So syempre, kailangan natin is a physiological stimulus to that patient's heart, that child's heart. So we give digoxin. So digoxin kasi, class, increases the force of pumping of your heart. Pinapabagal niya ang puso. Okay? Tandaan niyo to ha. When you give digoxin, class, ang digoxin kasi pinapabagal niya yung tibok. Pero dahil mabagal yung tibok, mas pinapalakas niya yung contraction. So kumbaga kung ang tibok ng puso ng baby is ganito. Bah, 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 bah. Okay? Pag binigyan mo ng digoxin yan, ganito yan. Boo! 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 Nagets ba? Mabagal pero forceful. Okay? And yun ang kailangan ng baby natin. Kailangan forceful yung heart para lumabas yung oxygenated blood. Alright? So say for example, class, ang usual dose lang naman ng digoxin would be 0.25 milligrams. Okay? This is 1 tablet. Okay? In 1 tablet. Say for example. Now, class, halimbawa, ang order ng doktor ko, 0.1 milligram lang. So, ilang tablets to? So, pag ni-ratio proportion ko yan, ang lalabas would be, wait lang. Okay. 0.1 divided by 0.25. 0.4 tab. Sa tingin mo, class, kaya mong magkuha ng 0.4 tab? Sa tingin nyo, kaya nyo itong hiwain? Isang tablet? Accurately? A 0.4 tablet? It's going to be hard, right? It's going to be hard. Mahirapan ka dito. So, anong gagawin natin, class, sa tablet para makuha natin yung 0.4 tabs na yan? Usually, class, dadagdagan ko ito ng diluent. Okay? Tapos, from that diluent, gagawin ko siyang mas malaki. Okay? Kumbaga yung tablet ko, dadagdagan ko ng lactose. Okay? Diluent. Para dumami siya. Ngayon, pag dumami yan, class, mas madali ko siya ngayon mahahati. Nagets mo ba? That's the method known as Aliquot. Okay? Doon ngayon ako, from yung tablet na yun, yung 1 tablet na yun, na dinilute ko with, with a diluent. Okay? Dadilute ko with a diluent, class. Tapos from that part, kukuha ko ng dose na para sa aking bata, which is equivalent to 0.1 milligrams. Na-imagine nyo ba, class? Okay, so halimbawa, wait, let me check ako nakikita ako. Nakikita naman pala. Kita, ay, hindi kita. Okay, never mind. Yung aking mahiwagang whiteboard. Alright, never mind. Okay, just so you know, nagsusulat din ako dito. Dito na ako nagsasolve minsan. Anyway, so class, ang gagawin lang lang dyan is 1 tablet, palalakihin mo lang siya. Okay, you're going to make it bigger. Para mas madali siyang machap-chap. Ngayon, pag nilagyan ko ng diluent yan, okay, dadami siya. Di mas madali ko nga siya ngayon hahati-hatiin. Ngayon, ang next question dyan is, sir, how much diluent should I put? Then, pag mix ko na lahat yan, gaano karami ang gagamitin ko from that product? Okay? Sa mga dinilute ko. Oops. Okay. So class, it provides the necessary steps, in weighing and measuring an amount of drug by Aliquot method. So these are some of the steps, class, na gagawin natin. So it's a step-by-step process. Okay, this is going to be a step-by-step process. So preliminary, class, usually calculate the smallest quantity of a substance that can be weighed on a balance or with the desired precision. Or class, alamin mo lang kung gaano kalaki mo ba gustong palakihin yung weight ng inyong tablet. Alright? Pero in this case, class, let's assume that we'll be using a weighing scale. Okay? Gagamit tayo ng weighing scale. So, unang gagawin natin ng class, calculate the smallest quantity. Hanggang saan lang ang kayang i-measure ng weighing scale natin. Okay? Then the next step would be to select a multiple of the desired quantity that can be weighed with the required prescription. Afterwards, dilute the multiple quantity. Ito yung tinawag natin, dilute. Okay, with an inert substance. What do you know, class, what it means when you say inert? Familiar ba kayo sa term na inert? Inert. Pag sinabi natin inert, class, this is a substance that does not react to your active ingredient. Okay, hindi siya nag-react sa active ingredient natin. Ibig sabihin, it does not alter our drug in any way or form. Okay, so normally, class, ang diluent na ginagamit natin for tablets would be a lactose. Pwede rin naman starch because they don't react to our drug. Okay? Now, kung yan ay liquid, obviously, water. Hindi usually ang dilute na ginagamit natin. We use water. Kung yan ay gas, we usually use halogen gases. Okay, they are considered to be the inert gases that we have in our periodic table. Okay, and so on and so forth. Alright, so yun yung sinasabi natin pag inert. Hindi siya nag-react sa gamot natin. Okay, again, it's either lactose, pwede rin namang starch. Okay, then lastly, class, weigh the aliquot portion of the dilution that contains the desired quantity. Now, syempre, hindi nyo may imagine to. Okay, so hanggat wala tayong sample case. Right? Some things that you have to consider here lang, class, ha? When we do sensitivity requirements for a balance, usually, class, ang sensitivity requirement is 6 milligrams. Okay? Tapos, ang error of in weighing, or yung kanyang percent error is 5%. This one is for usual, this is for a usual balance. Right? May 5% percent error siya. At ang usual na sensitivity requirement niya is 6 milligrams. Okay? Now, let's have here a case or a scenario. A pharmacist receives a prescription. So, nakareceive tayo ng prescription, dinala ni patient, ni nanay, kay para sa kanyang anak. Ang sabi doon, kailangan daw ni baby niya ng dose of augmentin. You know augmentin? Alright, it's coamoxiclav. Sorry, diniretso ko pala ng brand name, mali yun. Dapat generic name ang binigay ko. Okay, pero kasi augmentin is coamoxiclav. Okay, coamoxiclav. So it's a combination of amoxicillin and clavulanic acid. So this is a combination of 2 antibiotics. So coamoxiclav, class, is a well-known broad-spectrum antibiotic. Okay? So halimbawa, hindi alam ng doktor kung ano ang pathogen na nag-infect sa'yo, so bibigyan kayo ng coamoxiclav because it's a broad spectrum. Okay? Pero kung alam niya kung ano yung pathogen na nag-infect sa'yo, let's say for example, streptococcus species, ganyan-ganyan, so the doctor will definitely choose a gram-positive, penicillin-based antibiotic, like amoxicillin, say for example. Yun lang. Okay? Pero class, ayan, so sabihin natin, gusto natin magbigay ng antibiotics. Ang instruction si doctor is, I need 15 milligrams of coamoxiclav. Okay? Yun yung sabi ng doktor. Yun yung laman. Alright? So ngayon, ang problem natin is, okay? So in order to waste something that small, 15 milligrams, class, is very small. Not unless you have an analytical balance in your pharmacy, which most of us don't have. Alam niyo kung magkano isang analytical balance? Analytical balance, class, it's something that could measure up to 1,000 milligram. Okay? Kaya niya mag-measure ng ano. Basta kahit minute amounts, class, kaya niya mag-measure. Napakamahal nun. Okay, parang pinakababang nakita ko is 20,000 or 30,000 pesos. So obviously, hindi ako mag-i-invest ng ganyan sa isang butika. Kailan ko lang magagamitin yan. Okay? So walang saysay. So I'll just use a regular grammer, right? Or just a regular weighing scale. So class, since I cannot measure 15 milligrams, so palalakihin ko na lang to. Okay? Based sa capacity na meron yung aking scale. Okay? Kasi hindi ko kaya mag-weigh ng 15 milligrams eh. So I'll get something that's equivalent to that. Then later, okay, i-integrate ko dun sa aking gamot. na saktong 15 milligrams, makukuha kong augmentin. Sorry, coamoxiclav. Right? So in order to weigh as something that's small, we have to use the Aliquot method. Now, the first thing, ito usual na ginagawa ng class. So calculate least weighable quantity based on the balance, sensitivity, and permissible margin of error. So meaning class, based on the balance that you have, ano yung weighing scale na meron ka, we have to get ano ang pinaka-minute amount na kayang i-weigh ng iyong balance. Okay? Hanggang saan lang ba ang kaya i-weigh ng iyong balance? Okay, mag-alala class, usually given ito. Okay? Usually given ito. So next, determine the amount of the ordered drug that you will actually weigh out. So next, we determine the amount of diluent, combine the drug and the diluent measured in steps 2 and 3, and then determine the amount of mixture needed to provide the originally ordered amount. Okay. So first things first, kailangan ko ng balance, right? Ang order ni doctor is 15 milligrams. Eh, ang balance ko, ang kaya niya lang i-weigh is in grams, say, for example. Okay? In grams lang ang kaya niya. Okay? Now, class, because of this, kailangan ko munang i-measure ano ba ang least weighable quantity ng aking weighing scale. Yung pinakamababang kaya niyang i-weigh. So, class, a usual balance, this one is just a usual balance, ha? Normally, ang kanyang sensitivity is up to 6 milligrams. Okay? With a 5% margin of error. So, to figure out the least weighable quantity, the formula, class, will simply be 100% times the sensitivity divided by the percent margin of error of your weighing scale. Now, class, ang values na 6 milligram at saka 5% na margin of error is almost universal to all balances. Okay? Almost universal to all balances na meron tayo sa butikan natin. Okay? Which is a class A balance. Class A, kasi magandang klaseng balance na yun. Okay? So, in our case, class, so, ang sensitivity niya is 6 milligrams. Tapos, ang margin of error is 5. So, therefore, class, ang balance natin, ibig sabihin, ang kanyang pinaka-least na kayang i-measure is 120 milligrams. Napakalayo sa 15 milligrams, right? So, ibig sabihin, class, ang gagawin ko na lang is, instead na 15 milligrams ang i-weigh ko, which is di kaya ng balance ko, gagawin kong 120 milligrams yung coamoxiclav ko. Yun ang i-weigh ko ngayon kasi yun lang ang kayang i-measure ng aking weighing scale. Nagets? Are we good so far? Okay, then from that 120 milligrams, using Aliquot procedures, class, kukuha ko ng 15 milligrams mamaya. Okay? Okay. So now, alam ko na 120 milligrams ang kayang i-measure ng aking balance. So, the least amount of augmentin that we can weigh is 120 milligrams. So, next question is, how am I going to get 15 milligrams out of this? Okay? So, normally, class, ang next step natin is to determine the amount of the ordered drug that you will actually weigh out. So, this amount must be equal to or greater than the least weighable quantity. Okay? So, how do I get this now? So, to calculate the amount of drug to weigh out, multiply the amount of drug ordered by a whole number until you have an amount equal to or greater than the LWQ, the least weighable quantity. So, class, this part here, yung whole number na to, this is assumed. Assumed by you. Ikaw ang pipili nito. Alright? As a pharmacist, class, ikaw ang pipili nito. Kaya normally, pag nagpa-Aliquot ako, class, titingnan ko yung mga solutions niyo because some of you might be using a different whole number. Okay? And so on and so forth. Pero as much as possible, class, dapat yung end product nito should be close. Yung whole number na gagamitin mo, yung pang-multiply mo, dapat malapit sa least, sa LWQ. Least weighable quantity natin. Okay? So this number is called a factor and it can be any number you want. Okay? Again, it can be any number you want. So just remember, we want to keep it as close to the LWQ as possible. If not equal to that, class, pwedeng higher. Basta whole number. Huwag kang gagamit ng decimals dito, class, ha? Whole number. Alright? So this is one thing I need you guys to remember. This should always be a whole number. Right? So multiply by the number to get it close to 120 milligrams. So in our case, class, ang order ng doctor natin is 15 milligrams augmentin, right? So what do you think, which of the following factors, whole number, would give me a amount close to the LWQ? Sabi natin, ang LWQ natin is, wait lang. LWQ is 120 milligrams. So anong gagamitin ko? Anyone?
8.
Okay,
8.
very
po.
good. Very good. So class, obviously, I'll be using here 8 as my factor. Okay? So yung 15 milligrams na yan, excuse me, importante class na identify mo yung factor na to ha. It's very important we identify this factor here. So in this case, class, it would be 8. Oops. Okay, it's gonna be 8. So when we multiply our 15 milligrams, which is the original order of the doctor, by a factor of 8, we get 120 milligrams. So sabihin, ang 120 milligrams yan, that's exactly the LWQ, right? Okay, yun yung kayang i-measure ng weighing scale ko. Okay? So therefore, class, I'll be using 120 milligrams of augmentin. Alright? Pasensya nyo na, gagamit na ako ng brand name dito. Okay? So which is exactly our LWQ. So this is important because it will cut down on waste later on. Now, class, if you chose kasi 10, we'll get 150. 150 milligrams, right? Okay. Okay din naman gamitin ito. At least mas marami. Wag lang kulang sa LWQ natin. Okay lang sumobra tayo sa LWQ. Yun nga lang, class, marami tayong masasayang na augmentin. Okay? Kasi tandaan nyo, 15 milligrams lang ang kailangan ko dyan. Hindi ko kailangan ay 150 milligrams. So maraming masasayang. So again, as much as possible, try to compute for a factor that would give you an LWQ close, the value of your drug close to the LWQ. Okay? All right. Now, ang next step natin, class, is to determine the amount of diluent. Okay? Kasi ang gagamitin ko dito is, tandaan nyo, 120 milligrams ng augmentin. I need to dilute this, class. Kailangan ko i-dilute to para mahati ko or makuha ko yung 15 milligrams. Ma-compute or ma-weigh ko ang 15 milligrams that is equivalent, okay? Equivalent amount na yon sa order ng doctor ko. Okay? Am I still making sense, class? Medyo mukhang parang nalilito na yung iba. Huwag kaya na. Kumukunot ng noo. Pag nagsasalubong na yung kilay na ganyan, alam ko medyo nalilito na yan. How do I illustrate this? Okay. Try ko lang ha. Try ko illustrate. Doctor's order is, kunwari, shape natin. Gawin shape. Kasi personally, I'm a visual learner. So when I see it, I learn. So this is kunwari, class, 15 milligrams. Okay? Ang kaya ng weighing scale ko, based on the computed LWQ ko, is ganito kalaki. Which is equivalent to 120 milligrams. So obviously, class, it's impossible for my weighing scale to measure this amount. So anong gagawin ko, class? Gagawa ako ng mixture that is equivalent to 15 milligrams. Pero, kayang ma-weigh ng weighing scale ko. So kung baka, class, yung 15 milligrams na to, i-enlarge ko. Palalakihin ko. Okay, palalakihin ko to a point, class, wherein an equivalent amount of that 15 milligrams can be weighed using my weighing scale. Okay? Okay. Basta, ito muna pag-isipan natin. Right? Ito muna. So ito yung amount, ganito karami yung kayang i-weigh ng weighing scale ko. 120 milligrams. Hanggang dyan lang yung kaya niya. So now, class, sabi natin, since 120 ang kaya ng weighing scale ko, so nag-compute ako, naghanap ako ng factor, okay, na pwede ko ipang-multiply sa order ni doktor that would be equal to the least weighable quantity, LWQ, ng aking weighing scale. Okay? Na kaya na i-measure ng aking weighing scale. So sabi natin, yung factor na yun was 8. Right? And that's going to give me 120, which is also equivalent to the LWQ. Swerte ko. Okay, maswerte tayo dyan. Basta tandaan nyo, yung factor na to, this factor should always be a whole number. Bawal decimals. Whole number. So now, class, I'm going to compute for my diluent. Okay? Kasi palalakihin ko yung 15 milligrams na yan. So I need to dilute it. Okay? Kasi ginawa ko na siyang 120 milligrams eh. Pinalaki ko na siya. Right? So now, pwede kong gamitin pang dilute para makakuha ako from that total mixture ng 15 milligrams equivalent. Alright? So to get the diluent, class, we multiply the LWQ by our factor, which one's our factor? Very good. It's 8. Kita ba yung kamay ko? Yata kita. 8. Okay? Which is 8. So, ibig sabihin, class, pag minultiply ko yung 8, ano ating LWQ? Our LWQ is 120 milligrams. Tapos, ang na-chosen factor natin is 8. Our factor is 8. So, I'll just multiply this to 8. So, 120 times 8 would give me 960. Very good. 960 milligrams. So, this should be the total weight of the mixture. Of my mixture. So, ibig sabihin, class, since gagawa ko ng mixture, malaki to. Ganito siya kalaki. Okay? Yung mixture na yan, that is a total of 960 milligrams, which contains 120 milligrams of drug. Nagets? So, kung mga class, how do I compute now for my diluent? Huh? Anyone? Sige, Miss Mary? Francine?
Subtract the amount of drug to be used.
Okay, very good. Okay, so in this case, class, to get my total diluent, okay, ang gagawin ko lang dyan would be, ay, sorry, sideways na pala ako. 960 minus 120 milligrams. Okay, and then the answer would be 960 minus 120 equals 960 minus 120, 840. So class, anong klaseng diluent ang gagamitin natin? Dalawa lang naman pagpipilian mo dyan. Starch or lactose. Okay, since most likely I'll be using powdered augmentin here. Augmentin. Okay? So class, obviously 120 grams of drug, 120 milligrams of the drug, tapos meron itong 840 milligrams diluent. Okay? Are we good so far? Okay pa. Kasi tandaan nyo kasi, pinapalaki ko yung weight nito para ma-measure siya sa weighing scale ko. Nakapiranggot lang ang kayang i-measure. So, mag-invest na lang tayo sa mas mahal na weighing scale para di tayo mahirapan ng ganito. Pwede rin naman. Kung kaya naman ma-afford ang butika niya, why not? Sige, sir, mag-alikot-alikot pa ako. Diyos ko, mag-invest na lang ako sa mas magandang weighing scale. Pwede rin naman. Alright? Pero again, not everyone can afford. So, sige, we'll do this. Kasi tandaan nyo, may maintenance pa yung analytical balance nyo. Gas din kayo for the maintenance of that. Right? Kasi from time to time, kailangan i-calibrate yun na i-calibrate. Okay, so sige, at least marunong tayo mag-alikot. Okay? So, pinalaki ko na ng pinalaki yung drug ko, yung mixture, yung total mixture ko. Right? So, ayan lang naman to. LWQ equals 120 milligrams. So, factor na pinili ko is 8. So, i-multiply ko yan to get the total weight of the mixture, which gives me 960 milligrams. That's a total weight. Tapos, subtract from that yung weight ng aking drug to get the diluent, which will give me 840 milligrams of the diluent. Right? Okay. Now, class, comes the fun part. Okay? Usually, gagawin nyo dapat sa dosage form. Iko-combine mo ngayon yan. Right? May mga techniques tayo in combining powders. We can either use tossing. Okay, meron tayong levigation. Levigation class with the use of mortar and pestle, which I'll be discussing. Mukhang di na ako aabot. Okay? 4 o'clock na pala. Sige, tingnan natin. Kung hindi man ako umabot class, I'll make a video out of it. Then I'll upload it para panoorin nyo na lang. Okay? Yung huwag kayo mag-alala, aparatos lang yun. It's something that you've learned in inorganic chemistry. Okay, pero I'll just zoom in or zero in on procedures na madalas natin ginagamit sa pharmacy. Okay? Alright. So now, class, I combine my drug, which is 120 milligrams nung augmentin plus 840 milligrams nung diluent ko, which is, of course, na-weigh ko sa aking balance na ang kaya lang is 120 milligrams. Okay? So, wait. Mix. Okay, na-mix ko na. Homogeneous na yung mixture ko. Next, class, to determine the amount of mixture needed to provide the original ordered amount. Okay? Ano bang original ordered amount natin? 15 milligrams, right? Yun yung original. Tapos pinalaki ko lang ng pinalaki yun kasi hindi kaya ng weighing scale ko. Alright? So now class, we will use the following equation to figure out what part of the mixture will contain 15 milligrams of augmentin. So halimbawa class, di ba ang sabi natin kanina, the total mixture is 960 milligrams. This is the total, right? And this 960 milligrams contains 120 milligrams of drug, right? So therefore, ang proportionality ko is X milligrams of the mixture. How many milligrams of the mixture will give me 15 milligrams of drug? Nagets ba yung ratio proportion natin? Nagets ba? Kasi ito yan, class. Total weight of the mixture. Okay, di ba? Within the total weight of the mixture, may certain amount of drug tayo nilagay dyan, which is 120 milligrams. Right? Okay, 120 milligrams. Now, class, from that amount, from that total weight, so parang ito, gawa tayo ulit ng gawa tayo ulit ng picture. So, ito ulit si mixture. Okay? Diba sabi natin, malaki na yan. Just 960 milligrams. Tapos within that, may 120 milligrams yan. Okay? So, ito si total mixture. Okay? Total mixture which contains 120 milligram of the drug. Tapos ang total weight nito is 960 milligrams, which is of course, kaya naman siguro i-measure ng aking weighing scale. Now, from this one class, gusto kong maghanap, okay, how much weight of the mixture ang magbibigay ng 15 milligrams of drug. Nagets niyo ba? Nagets niyo ba, class? Na-imagine niyo? Okay, ulitin ko paano nangyari yun? So, di ba, class, 120 milligrams, 960 milligrams, ito yung total. Total mixture ko. Pinalaki ko, di ba? Ito yung total mixture ko, which contains 120 milligrams. So, meaning, in 960 milligrams of this mixture, it contains 120 milligrams of augmentin. Now, I only need 5 milligrams of that. So, from this total mixture, kasi na-mix na yan eh. Halo-halo na yan. Ano ang total weight ng mixture na ito na magbibigay sa akin ng 15 milligrams ng gamot ko? Na-imagine nyo ba? Na-imagine nyo ba? Kasi pinalaki ko na siya, di ba? Pinalaki ko. So, I can use ratio and proportion now. So, the total weight niya is 960. Okay, so 960 milligrams contains 120 milligram of the drug. Right? Okay? So therefore, X, gaano karami ng 960 milligrams kaya ang magbibigay sa akin ng 15 milligrams ng gamot? Kasi ito yung original na require ko. Okay? Nagets ba? Alright. So by doing ratio and proportion, nag-ready na ako. Okay, ni-ready ko na siya. So 960 milligrams of the mixture is to 120 milligrams of augmentin. Okay, yun yung ginawa natin kanina lang. Nag-mix-mix tayo, di ba? So therefore, how much of this total mixture would give me 15 milligrams of augmentin? Okay, kasi ito yung original na hiningi sa akin, which was ordered. Right? Na-imagine nyo ba? Okay, so parang ito class, gawa pa tayo ng isa pang isa pang itsura niya. So, kung ito class yung ito yung 960 milligrams. Alright, kumari, ganyan siya. Okay? Itong totality na to is 960 milligrams. Alright? So, syempre, distributed na yung 120 milligrams ng gamot sa buong mixture na to, right? Kalat na yan. So, nahalo ko na yan. So, ibig sabihin, class, may 120 milligrams yung 960 milligrams na to. Ngayon, kukuha ko ng kapiranggot na 5 milligrams lang dyan from that total mixture. 15 milligrams. Thank you. Imagine nyo ba? Okay. So, kung baka class, yung 120 milligrams yun yung total, kukuha ko ng kapiranggot dyan. Okay, which contains 15 milligrams lang. Gusto ko sanang i-weigh to eh. Kaya lang kasi hindi ko siya ma-weigh kasi nga hindi kaya ng aking weighing scale. So, ang ginawa ko, pinalaki ko ngayon yung available drug product ko. Tapos, nag-ratio and proportion na lang ako. Okay? So, doing that class would give me 960 milligrams of the mixture times 15 of the order divided by 120. Okay? So therefore, ang lalabas is, from the total mixture, yung 960 milligrams, kukuha ako ng 120 milligrams. And that 120 milligrams of that total mixture contains 15 milligrams of augmentin. Na-imagine nyo na ba? Medyo. Okay. So, kumbaga, kung, sa baba pwede mag-drawing. So, yan. So, kung ito class si 960 milligrams, ito yung pinag-mix-mix ko na. Okay, which contains 840 milligrams of the diluent plus 120 milligrams of the drug. So, this one, itong 960 milligrams ito contains 120 milligrams of that drug. So, ang sabi natin dito class, if I was to use 120 milligrams of this mixture, I actually get 15 milligrams of the drug. Nakita yung proportionality? So, kumbaga, 960 is to 120, ito yung malaki niyan. Itong maliit na to is 120 is to 15. Okay? Nagets ba? Yan, ito siya. So, itong 120 is to 15 na proportionality, itong kapiranggot na nanggaling kay 960 is to 120. Nagets? Are we good so far? Okay. Importante ito, class, na maintindihan nyo to kasi maraming tayong computation sa pharmacy, puro gito gagawin nyo. Wala pa tayo sa alligation alternate. This one, class, is mixing various total parenteral nutrition, proteins, carbohydrates. May ganyan ba tayong topic? Alam ko meron pero kung wala, ganito gagamitin nyo pa rin, Aliquot method. Okay? Kasi magbubuo ka isang total volume. Pero anyway, so yun class yung principle behind this. Okay? So yung 960 milligrams na yun is the 120, ito yung malaking yun, yung binuo natin kanina. Okay, so kukuha mo mga kaparanggot dyan, 120 milligrams yung total mixture na yan, and this mixture, I am guaranteed it contains, basta maganda yung pagkakahalo ko Kung pangit yung pagkakahalo ko, syempre, baka lang yan, hindi na-disperse na maayos yung gamot ko sa diluent. So it has to be mixed properly. So a technique that we use usually is levigation. Using your mortar and pestle, gagayan mo yan. Okay, basta makita nyo lang sa i-upload kong video. Alright, so this 120 milligrams I am assured that it contains 15 milligrams of augmentin. Alright, so siguro naman kaya ko nang i-weigh ang 120 milligrams na to sa aking weighing scale. Kasi yun lang ang kaya niyang i-weigh. Alright? Right, so from the 960 milligram pile of mixture, we will weigh 120 milligrams. And in that 120 milligrams will be the originally ordered 15 milligrams of augmentin. So we can then mix it with the cherry syrup, 30 ml. Order ni doctor, ilagay daw sa cherry syrup 30 ml Okay, and the compound will be finished. Now, anong mangyayari sa natira dun sa 960 milligrams natin? Wala na, tapon na. Okay? Gets ba? Kaya mag-invest na lang tayo sa sa analytical balance. Invest na lang tayo para walang sayang. Pwede rin naman, pero yun na nga, minsan di naman natin kayang Okay, so tapon na yun. Natalas may bumili sa'yo, same order, doon ka na kumuha ng kapiranggot mo. Okay, pwede ka kumuha ng kapiranggot mo doon. Okay, kukurot-kurot ka doon sa 840 milligrams na natira ng mixture. Pero class, usually, tapon na yun. Kaya nga, di ba, as much as possible, we try to compute yung LW, yung total amount of drug natin malapit sa LWQ para wala masyadong sayang. Kasi kung mas marami yun, mas marami tayong masasayang. Okay, mas marami tayong tapon. Alright? So, nagets ba, class? Okay ba, kaila? Ang asynchronous activity nyo sa akin is all about this one. Okay? Kasi kailangan ko ma-practice kayo dito. Okay, and that's for next week. Right? Okay, so leftover, yun na matitira, so will be discarded. So are we good? Na-imagine nyo na? Na-imagine nyo ba? I hope so. Alright? Okay. Good. Now, last topic natin class would be percent error. Why do I need to know the percent error? Okay? Kasi minsan class, pag nag-measure tayo, sabi nga natin, not all equipments are created equally. Okay? Hindi lahat ng graduated cylinder natin ay pare-pareho ang kapasidad para mag-measure ng accurate volume. Okay? There will always be discrepancies. Halimbawa, Japix pala yung sa Japix yung nabili mong graduated cylinder. Okay, yung mumurahin. Alright? So, pwedeng may pagkakaiba sa kanyang graduations. Right? Which could of course alter our measurements. So dapat class, alam natin kahit paano kung ano yung percent error ng mga aparatus natin. And is this percent error acceptable or not? Okay, yung margin of error na kinikreate nung aparatus natin. Kasi kung acceptable naman, de walang problema. Okay, pero kung hindi siya acceptable, de wala, tapon mo na yung aparatus na yun, bili ka ng bago. Okay? Okay. So percent error class is the difference between the experimental and theoretical value divided by the theoretical value multiplied by 100% to give you a percentage. So in some fields class, percent error is always expressed as a positive number. In others, it is correct to have either positive or negative. In pharmacy class, we always use absolute values. Okay, familiar kayo sa term na absolute values? Walang negative dito. Okay, kumbaga, pag nag-subtract tayo, pag lumabas negative, gawin mong positive. Alright? So absolute values lagi ang gamit natin dito. Okay, so how do you calculate class for percent error? So you calculate the error class. Okay, so to calculate the error, subtract the one value from the other. Then ignore any minus sign or negative sign. Okay, divide the error by the exact value we get the decimal number here. Then usually to convert it into a percentage, you multiply it to 100 and add a percent sign. Siyempre, hindi nyo ma-imagine to. So gawa tayo ng scenario here, or this is the formula. Okay, so usually class, approximate value mo minus the exact value na hinahanap mo, divided by the exact value times 100%. Let me give you a scenario here. Okay? So using a graduated cylinder, ito lang naman ang gagamitin natin eh. A pharmacist measured 30 ml of liquid. Okay, so nag-measure ka ng liquid, 30 ml. So if this is the graduated cylinder, yan, so hulog-hulog ng tubig. Tapos nung titingnan ko na siya, okay, good, it's 30 ml. Sabi ko, 30 ml ang mineasure ko. Pero hindi ako nakampante. Okay, sabi ko, binili ko lang to sa kung saan putyo-putyo ang graduated cylinder ko. So meron akong mas mamahalin, mas calibrated na narrow gauge burette. Yung burette. Okay, burette. Burette class is parang, nakita na ba kayo ng pipette? Familiar kayo sa pipette? Yan. Pipette's class is like a very slim graduated cylinder. Okay, kung ang graduated cylinder class kito itsura, parang ganyan yan. Okay, tapos may stand. Tapos andyan yung graduations. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Okay, ganyan yung graduated cylinder. A burette class looks something like this. It's very slender. Okay? Tapos ganyan siya, parang ganyan yan. Tapos dito yung graduations. Yan, yan. Okay? Between the two class, a burette, whatever. Burette na lang. Pilipino naman tayo. Okay, a burette class can measure more accurate volume as compared to a graduated cylinder. Kasi sabi ko, hindi ako nakampante. Ang measurement ko dito, 30 ml kunwari. Okay, hindi ako nakampante. So gumamit ako nito. Mineasure ko ulit. Okay? Yun pala, nalaman ko ngayon na yung mineasure kong 30 ml, hindi pala 30 ml. The actual volume pala was 32 ml. So may error na agad yung graduated cylinder ko. Instead of 30 ml, 32 ml pa lang na may measure niya. So now the next question is, what's the percent error? How much error does my graduated cylinder produce? Okay, in terms of my measurement. Ito mas maniniwala ako sa burette ko, sa burette. Kasi mas accurate to eh. Mas maniniwala ako dito. Sabi niya sa akin, hindi pre, 32 ml yung na-measure mo diyan. Okay? So therefore, mas maniniwala ako sa kanya, mas credible siya. Okay? Kumbaga, sa kapitbahay versus sa doktor, mas maniniwala ako sa doktor. Okay? So mas maniniwala ako kay burette. Si burette si doktor, si graduated cylinder ko, si kapitbahay. Okay? Natala si kapitbahay ko, doktor din, syempre. Okay? So, you get what I mean, right? Now, from here, class, ang gagawin ko lang dyan would be, so ang percent error ko would be 32 ml minus 30. Kasi ito yung actual na gusto ko i-measure eh. 30 ml. Pero hindi 30 ml ang nakuha ko. 32 ml. Right? Yung 32 ml pala yung actual value niya. So therefore, class, ang pang-divide ko dyan would be the one that I'm trying to measure. So 30 ml. So doing so, class, would give me a percent error of 6.7%. Now, is it acceptable or not? Depende to sa standards ng practice mo. Okay? Alam niyo sa statistics, di ba, 95% confidence. Ibig sabihin, you're 95% confident that you're providing accurate measurements, accurate findings. 5% lang ang error. Pero meron din naman tayong 90% confidence, right? Or yung 0.1 alpha, 0.01 alpha. Okay, 0.1 alpha pala, which provides us with 10% margin of error. So, pwede pa naman to again, depende to sa'yo. So, class, kung ako ay gumagawa ng quality assurance, hindi acceptable ang 6.7% na error. Ang acceptable usually is 1 to 5% lang. Okay? Kung quality assurance to. Pero class, kung nagko-compound lang naman ako sa butika, alright? Mga tubig-tubig lang naman dyan, pang-dilute lang naman sa, sa suspension, papayagan ko na yan, okay na yan, hanggang 10%. Okay? Hanggang 10% error. Pero again, depende to sa standards mo. If you want to have high standards in your botika, hindi mo papayagan ang 6.7%. Hanggang 5% lang. Okay, so anong gagawin ko? Papalitan ko na si graduated cylinder ko. Hanap ako ng bago.